y a todos ustedes, es un privilegio. Gracias, Orlando, por esto. Frankly, Carlos said it all. But I am reminded of what a difference an election can make. 2 years ago, we were not talking about a Venezuela on the path towards a transition to democracy. 2 years ago, we were actually working hard to try to stop, which we were able to stop, the then President of the United States with his administration, who wanted American taxpayer money to go to fund Castro's companies. That's what was happening just a little bit over a year ago. Just over a little bit of a year ago, the government of the United States, the President of the United States, wanted to give access to the U.S. banking system to the Castro regime. And let's be clear, none of that was by mistake. Nobody is quite that stupid. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were doing everything possible to help, to facilitate, to strengthen, to legitimize that anti-American terrorist regime in 1990. By the way, they were doing the same thing with the regime in Venezuela. What a difference an election can make. So today, and again, as my brother in this effort, Carlos Jimenez said, today we are closer than ever to see a free, democratic Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and the entire West.
Amen.
And it's important to note, if anybody saw the committee where the brilliant, the giant, that is the Secretary of State Marco Rubio testified. And it was just brilliant all the way around. But he was asked about, can you guarantee that you're not going to support regime change in Cuba? And he was very clear. Two things about it. He said, of course, a regime change is desired. And number two, that it is the law of the United States, as codified by our predecessors, Congressman Lincoln Díaz-Balart, Congresswoman Liliana Roslett, that the law in the United States, passed by Congress, by the way, the law of the United States requires a change of regime for the normalization of relations with the United States. That's the law of the United States. And it's the right thing to do for the people of Cuba, but also for the national security interests of the United States. And I'm sure that the regime is getting the message that the only future and the only possibility and the only alternative for the regime in Havana is for freedom to return. Amen. There's no waiting out. There's no waiting out. There's no possibility of fake negotiations. There's no possibility of trying to find ways to get assistance and try to get help, because the President of the United States, along with his Secretary of State, are very clear that the threat to the national security interests of the United States, that is the Castro regime, like the one in Venezuela, like the one in Nicaragua, is no longer acceptable and will no longer be tolerated. It's an amazing circumstance that we are facing today. What a change. Just a little bit over a year. And I am eternally grateful to the President of the United States, to the Secretary of State, to the entire administration, because they understand that the America First policy starts with the Americas, right here in this hemisphere. And lastly, what my colleague, my brother, has mentioned today, this is now the time to finish the job. This is the moment to end the nightmare. This is the moment that, and we're so close to it, the moment when that regime will finally be thrown away into the trash heap of history. All that is required is solidarity, support, and a little bit of a push so that that regime will no longer be a threat to our national security and to its own. The moment is now, difference right here. Muy brevemente, lo que acaba de decir mi hermano, mi colega, Carlos Jiménez, no puede estar más acertado, no puede tener más razón. Estamos ahora en un momento clave, después de casi, 7 décadas, ¿no? de esta pesadilla en Cuba. Estamos viendo que por fin ese cambio se acerca. Y se acerca por la situación en la isla, pero también se acerca por la situación y el liderazgo del presidente de los Estados Unidos y el secretario de Estado. Ellos entienden que este reto, este peligro para la seguridad nacional de los Estados Unidos, esta pesadilla para su propio pueblo, no es aceptable y no se va a seguir tolerando. Este presidente ha estado clarísimo y ha tomado medidas realmente históricas, y por eso le estamos tan agradecidos a este presidente, a esta administración. Pero esto es lo que es importante reconocer. La situación en Cuba y el régimen en Cuba nunca ha estado tan débil. Y en estos momentos la actitud nuestra es que vamos a hacer todo lo necesario para terminar esa tarea, que es que la libertad y la soberanía del pueblo cubano por fin le regrese a ese país. Y solamente hace falta empujar un poquitito. Vamos a presionar a estos, sea a Europa, sea a México, para que esos que están ayudando a ese régimen se den cuenta que no solamente es que no lo vamos a aceptar, pero que van a haber consecuencias por lo que están haciendo, tratando de ayudar a ese régimen. Esos días, la tolerancia de aceptar que estén ayudando, darle legitimidad y fondos y crédito a ese régimen, eso se ha acabado y se tiene que acabar ya. Y sabemos que hay algunas otras medidas de presión que los Estados Unidos pueden tomar y se van a tomar. Y lo que dijo Carlos Jiménez, no, es verdad que son decisiones que hay que tomar y es difícil. Y ese pueblo que ha sufrido tanto, desafortunadamente sigue sufriendo. Pero la solución no es extender el régimen. La solución es la eliminación de esa dictadura al 90 millones. Así que al exilio cubano, el presidio histórico, los brigadistas, los héroes, todos ustedes, sepan que esta lucha no ha sido en vano y que estamos tan cerca por lo que ha hecho este exilio, en mantener esa causa siempre viva, y a ese pueblo cubano que tanto ha sufrido y que sigue sufriendo, que sepa que todo lo que se está haciendo es solamente por una razón, para que ellos puedan vivir en dignidad, en libertad, y en dignidad y libertad significa con prosperidad. Eso se acerca. Vienen momentos muy difíciles, lo sabemos, pero esos momentos se acercan. Así que a todos ustedes, gracias. Mi admiración, mi profundo agradecimiento, y que sepan que después de tantos años nunca hemos estado tan cerca de la libertad, y no vamos a parar de trabajar y luchar hasta que se logre la libertad de Cuba.